So then today we get to work on our fourth waypoint, timely, personalized, and professional. And we're going to give you a few tools that you can use with your students. Being timely as pilots and in the school, there is a schedule, right? To an extent, we're all very responsible for the schedule and have to be respectful of each other in regards to that schedule. So timely is not just showing up, but it is being respectful for each other, for your students, and similarly, you would want that respect from others. So who here has been bumped from a flight because the person before them was late? Captain Digit, the only one's never been bumped. It's amazing. Now, at the same time, I'm sure that you very likely run late and had to, or been forced to bump the person after you, maybe unexpectedly, right? Timeliness is about respect, communication, letting people know if you're going to be running late so they can make accommodations. We've gone so far as to have a reset hour, which we're enjoying right now, to allow anybody running late from the morning to catch up and to allow fueling and maintenance to happen between 1 and 2 o'clock. The reset, I think, has been a very powerful tool. I think most people enjoy the reset. Would I agree? Yeah? Mm-hmm. There used to be times where you had to find those 5 minutes to have lunch back in the day. So now we have this wonderful hour. So then we roll into the professional side of things. So why do we wear the uniforms?
Show respect.
Well, yes.
Professionalism.
The professional. Right. So I just came from a wonderful talk at Broward College where a gentleman that owns an airline out of Fort Lauderdale International was talking about professionalism, how he gets lots of 1,500-hour pilots with so many ratings that are just unprofessional. Don't know how to show up on time, how to address others, how to address customers. Professionalism is a big thing. And we wear the uniform to demonstrate our professionalism and to demonstrate professionalism to our students. The uniform builds confidence, right? If you show up from across country, or federal state, you show up from across country to Kissimmee, and there's a long line of people, everyone's in t-shirts and flip-flops, and you show up in a pilot uniform, you usually get help first. You can start, what can I help you with? It doesn't matter if you flew on 152. You're working, you're playing the role, and we want our students to have that professionalism ingrained into them, which is why the uniform is so important from the beginning, right? So uniform, professionalism establishes credibility. Now, who are our young instructors here? Who's, less than 500-hour instructors? Got a couple, right? Okay. So if I come to you and I say, a new student, first flight, how long have you been flying? What do you answer? 6 years. No, that's an excellent answer. That's an excellent answer.
I just point at the bars.
That'll work as well. We have, it all depends on how you position something. So if you say, oh, I'm a 250-hour pilot, you're my first student, you have lost credibility, and that student now is very nervous. But on the other hand, if you say, I've been flying for 2-3 years, lots of ratings and check rides under my belt, you build confidence, right? And when you are an instructor and you've got a young student, or even not so young student, you are the mentor, you are the goal, you are what they're looking forward to being, right? In the stripes and the uniform with the ratings. So yes, a good answer is, I've been flying for several years, I've got lots of ratings, passed lots of check rides, that's all excellent and valid. So we want to establish credibility. And lastly, personalized. Aviation is very personalized. For the most part, it's one-on-one. It's you and your students in that cockpit for 40, 60 hours, sometimes more, getting to know each other, and there has to be a good rapport back and forth where they're open and wanting to learn from you, right? If you don't take a personal approach and interest in your student, they're very likely not going to learn from you, and that's when Christian gets a request for a new instructor, all right? So we want to avoid those that friction and have a good relationship with our student. That being said, sometimes you just don't get along, right? And we've got to identify that early on and bring it to attention so we can have a change of instructor. Because once that wall is built between you and your students, it's very hard to knock it down, all right? So I'm going to give you 3 tools to work with a student or even each other. The 3 Ps and the 3 As, right? Those of you, has anybody used the 3 Ps or 3 As that has gone through this before? Kind of, yeah. You usually don't even have, this is us putting a name to something that you probably do already and don't realize it. So the 3 Ps of permission, position, and probe, right? If you want to ask somebody a question or get information, these 3 allow you to jumpstart a conversation in under a minute, right? Permission. So whenever you want to ask something, it's the best way to start a a conversation is to go up and say, hey Justin, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is very rare that you're going to go up to a student, a colleague, or a superior and say, hey, can I ask you a question? And they're going to say, no, and just turn away and walk away. Very rare, right? And you probably caught them a bad day if they do. So we always start out with permission. It's a good way to open the door. Position is, what are you trying to find out about? Like, hey, I saw you flying in the pattern today, or the Thanksgiving is coming up. Position, frame what you're about to say, right? And then probe, ask those questions to get in there. Example again. Justin, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Thanksgiving is coming up. Are we going to be working that day, or do you think I can get it off? What I did there was open the door, position what I'm about to say, and then start asking questions, right? On a similar note, Carlos, can I ask you a question?
No.
Got him on a bad day. Got him on a bad day.
I'm back. Yes, sir.
When we were flying towards Kissimmee, did you get lost?
It's okay, you can answer that.
Let's ask open-ended questions.
I was exploring the area.
So the 3 Ps here is just a powerful tool. The 3 Ps is a powerful tool to initiate conversations, particularly when they're tough conversations. When your student had a really rough flight and you want to kind of find out what happened and get to the bottom of it. When you're trying to ask for something, whether it's some flexibility on your schedule or day off or raise, the 3 Ps lets you have a conversation with almost anybody very quickly. I'm going to take a little a side note here between these. We've learned these 3 Ps and 3 As, Carl and I, from extensive training from a big fruit technology company who spent a lot of time figuring these out, right? And if you think about it, anybody been to an Apple store? Yes, right? Everyone. It's very easy to talk with anybody there, to have a conversation with anybody in an Apple store, right? Because they're trained in the 3 Ps and the 3 As to open up conversations and to talk with anybody. You can have a conversation with anybody. And I think one of Apple's biggest accomplishments as far as the retail experience goes, they've taught a generation of nerds how to talk to people, right? And so these 3 Ps open up a lot of channels of communication. So another one is, right, if we have someone who is very upset, they had a very bad experience, maintenance issue, failed a check run, right? We want to use the 3 As, acknowledge, align, and assure, right? So let's use that example. Somebody had a terrible check ride. So how do you approach them? Acknowledge, like, oh man, that was a rough ride, maybe you had a tough day today. So you want to acknowledge that they're having a tough time, whatever it's doing. In the store, those will happen all the time. Somebody bought something, wasn't what they wanted, they're having a bad experience. People have failed tests. They're in a terrible mood, right? So you want to acknowledge it. And this is something that doesn't just happen in the building. You can do this with your siblings, spouses, whomever. Acknowledge that they're having a rough time at whatever it is they're trying to do it. Align with them. Like, oh, I didn't do so hot on my first pilot test. Like, I got lost on that flight to Kissimmee too. You want to align with them to let them know they're not alone on this. And then assure, we're going to get past this. We're going to do the training. I'm going to review that test with you. I'm going to make sure we do our flight plans together so you don't get lost next time. Acknowledge, align, and assure does tremendous for helping somebody that's in a rough situation, having a bad experience. Sometimes they just got to talk. They got to get it off their chest. They got to say whatever it is that's bothering them. So listen to them. Acknowledge that they had whatever happened, right? Align with them, and then let's help get over it. Assure them, right? So the 3 Ps, quick way to start a conversation with just about anybody, and the 3 As is a good way to kind of step down somebody that's in an aggravated situation. So in a quick review, we want to be timely, very respectful, and professional, which is why we're all wearing the uniform, that establishes credibility. And want to be personalized. We are working with people, and everyone's different, right? So hopefully these 2 tools will help you communicate better with your students, with each other, and outside this book. So that is our 4th waypoint. We'll keep it going next week.